Are you a god in creative but you seem to struggle in ranked games? Or maybe you just feel like you've been stuck at the same level for a long time? If so, then you've come to the right place. I am one of the top ranked players in NA this season, and today I'm going to show all of you how to get faster mechanics and transfer those creative skills into an actual ranked game. So if you guys do enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. Also go check out my Twitch. I'll start streaming on there once I hit 100 followers. But now onto the video. Now, if you really want to get good mechanics and train your mechanics properly, a lot of players will just hop into a creative map and they'll just randomly free build, or they'll just practice piece control moves. But the real way to improve your personal mechanics is to focus on what you're bad at. Because if you're just randomly playing creative, sure, your mechanics are going to get better overall. But if you want to improve the parts of your game that you're struggling with, you need to focus on what you're bad at. For example, let's say I'm a really good player and I have really fast mechanics, but I struggle to make proper peaks so that I don't take damage. If that was me, all I would do is spend 20 to 30 minutes in creative practicing a certain peak that's going to keep me protected. And if I were to recommend a map, it would be Mechanics V4, because the bots in the piece control drills shoot back at you when you make a bad edit. So you're going to know when you're making a bad edit versus a good edit. And this will help you train your brain to make the right edit every single time. And that means when you get in ranked, you're going to have the muscle memory to make the right edit instead of the wrong edit. And that means you're going to come out on top in way more fights. Now, all the tips I'm going to go over in this video are great at improving your mechanics, but if you're not going to play and train at 100%, there's no point in practicing your mechanics. For example, imagine a boxer training for a fight. If the boxer wants to be ready for the fight, he's going to train at 100% every single time he's training. That way, when the day of the fight comes around, he has a really good chance of winning that fight. The same goes for training your mechanics in game. If you want to win all the fights against the really good players that you're going to be fighting in ranked, you have to train your mechanics and play at 100% so that when you get in that situation, you know how to handle it properly. Also, another thing I think that's really important to mention is don't go into a creative map or a 1v1 map and just 10-0 some player that's garbage compared to you. That's not going to help you improve, and it's actually going to slow down your speed of improvement. Instead, keep queuing until you find a good player or someone hopefully that's even better than you. And when you 1v1 this player, even if you die, you're going to be able to learn from your mistakes. And that ultimately is going to make you improve faster than you just 10-0ing some random player in creative. Moving on now, let's talk about the biggest issue that you're running into when you want to transfer your creative skills into ranked, and that is your confidence. Because a lot of players will feel insane in creative, but then as soon as they jump into a ranked match, all of a sudden they feel like they're playing a different game, they freeze up, and they make a mistake or two, and they get punished for it. Because when you're playing creative and 1v1 maps, it's a very low stress environment. And you have infinite life, so even if you die, you get to respawn and try again. But in ranked, you only have one life, so if you make one bad mistake, you're going to get punished for it. Now, there's a few ways to get around being nervous in ranked, but my best advice to all of you is to picture that you're still in creative. Imagine yourself in the 1v1 map that you were just playing right before you were playing ranked. Imagine the retakes you did, imagine what worked against your opponents and what didn't, and use that built-in muscle memory to win the fights in your ranked games. Moving on now, let's talk about the most important part of this video. How do I transfer the creative skills I learn into ranked? Now, to do this in the fastest way possible, you need to learn how to build muscle memory. Because ranked fights for some people can be stressful, and that means you're sometimes going to make mistakes and you're going to die. But having muscle memory is going to allow you to override that nervousness to win more fights. So really quickly, let's show you a few examples of how I transfer creative skills into ranked. So in this fight right here, this player runs away from me and he boxes up. And I remember practicing a certain move in creative. As you can see in the background, I'm doing this move over and over and over, practicing on bots. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into Marta's box fights. And I'm going to practice those moves I learned on bots against actual players. This way, I have the muscle memory built into my brain. So when I get in a fight like this, I know what to do. So you'll notice this player boxes up just like the bots. And what I'm going to do is that exact same move. I edit out to my left, I flip up the cone in front of me, edit a peanut butter, and then reset the cone, and this sets me up for a perfect peak. And then I can shoot the wall, steal it, and then fall, and then pump the player. So if you really want to transfer all of those creative skills you've learned into actual ranked games, you need to learn how to build muscle memory so that you remember in the middle of a fight what to actually do. Now, using muscle memory that you learn in creative to win fights in ranked is a great way to transfer your skills. But another way you can improve your personal mechanics but also end fights quickly in ranked is by reading your opponent's patterns, because every fight in ranked is going to be different. But if you can figure out what your opponent is going to do next, then you can find a way to end the fight faster than normal. So another example of me transferring my skills would be in this fight right here. I see this player in front of me and I'm going to miss my sniper shot, and then I'm going to start to push this player. Now, while I'm pushing this player, I'm going to swing my bat and then pull out my pump. I shoot, but he blocks the shot. Now, when he blocks the shot, the other player is going to take high ground on me. And when the player gets up on height, I try and double hit it, but I choke my edit. the player shoots my cone, so now I'm forced onto low ground. But in the back of my head, I remember the muscle memory I learned in creative. I remembered practicing side jumps on bots, so I'm going to do the same thing that I learned in creative in this fight. When I see the player is exposed right here and there's no wall, I'm going to catch the player off guard, 180. As you can see, the player's back is turned. I'm able to then crack him, and then obviously he's going to go up on height and he's going to start to pop his meds. And when this player starts to med up, I'm going to start to push him. But when I push him, I remember at the beginning of the fight, I baited him out with a bat swing. So I'm just going to do the same here. Swing my bat, pull out my pump. This will bait the player to peek, and then I can pump him and pick up a simple elimination. But I was only able to do this because I learned how to transfer my creative skills into ranked. So make sure you're doing things like this to transfer those skills. Now, this isn't only useful for your ranked games and your fights in ranked, but it's also really important for your endgame scenarios and knowing what to do in the right situation. And a really good map that you can use to practice your endgame skills is the Endgame Cup. This map is literally a 1-to-1 replica of a solo cash cup. So that means you get to practice your fights in endgame, you get to practice your rotates, how you're going to tarp, where you should be moving to, how you're going to win the game. This is very important because when you're playing a solo cash cup or even just a rank game, for some people it can be super stressful. But playing maps like this is going to allow you to get rid of that nervous feeling and build your confidence up. For example, before I won this 18 kill game right here, I was playing solo endgames and I was practicing my tarping and my angles in endgame. So that way when I get in this situation right here, I know what to do. Instead of building out in the middle of the zone where I'll have blind spots below me, I decide to build out at an angle. And that means I have a better chance of seeing them and I can get more damage off. As you can see, I shoot one player, get him 1 HP, and then I crack another player. That allows me to pick up a kill, and then I go on to win this game. But I was only, again, able to win this game because I had that muscle memory built into my gameplay, so I knew what to do in the right situation. Now, winning ranked games isn't all just about having really good mechanics and getting to zone early. It's also about learning how to make the right decisions on the fly. For example, in this game right here, as you can see, I'm about to get lasered in my back by a random player. Now, most players in this situation would be a little jumpy and they'd be panicking. But in the back of my head, I have that built-in muscle memory to make the right decision on the fly so I can win the game. So right now, I'm thinking, okay, I don't have the health to win this game. I don't have the mats to win this game. I need to force a refresh so that I can win this game. So when I hear these other two people fighting behind me, I instantly go over and push them. And when I see this player fly into zone, I know the other player is the only one alive and I need to push him to secure a refresh. So I instantly push over to the player and I mammoth him and then I pump him and pick up a quick kill. After I pick up the kill though, notice how, again, I'm not going to be greedy and I'm instantly going to go and create space. This is very important because there's another player right next to me, and when he hears me kill this player, he's going to try and third party me. But since I expand, that gives me a second to take a break, pause, and then crack the player, pushing him off my loot, and now I can grab all the loot for free. Moving on now, let's talk about the final part of this video, and that is minimal movements and minimal edits. Minimal movements will instantly make you a faster editor, and it will also give you better aim. So for example, let's say I want to make a peanut butter edit. I'm not going to flick my crosshair out like this and go over all the tiles. Instead, I'm going to do the minimal edit. So I want to hit all 3 corners of this edit. So instead of flicking like this, I'm going to do a minimal edit. See how much smaller of a movement that is? What that's going to do is, instead of your crosshair not being lined up when you confirm an edit, your crosshair is already going to be lined up with your opponent when you make the edit. So instead of me having to flick all the way back to my opponent, my crosshair is already going to be lined up with the opponent, and that means I'm going to be a lot more consistent in my damage. And as you can see in the background, doing a normal edit where you flick your crosshair versus a minimal edit, it takes a few more seconds for your crosshair to line up with your opponent versus a minimal edit. And sometimes those few milliseconds between you editing and shooting can matter in a fight, so make sure you're always minimal editing. Now, speaking of ranked, I think it's really important to mention that when you're warming up your free builds, obviously you can do your triple edits, get everything that you want to warmed up. But once you have those skills warmed up, you need to practice the moves you're actually going to use in ranked. Because when you're playing in ranked, you're not going to have dead zero ping. You're not going to be hitting quad edits on players and trying to clip everybody. So for example, instead of hitting all these quad edits when I'm warming up, I need to be practicing actual skills I'm going to be learning in games. Instead, I'm going to practice my side jumps or maybe my high walls. Doing moves like this before you go into ranked is going to get you a lot more prepared than just hitting a bunch of quad edits. Now, if you are struggling with learning in-game retakes and just build moves in general, I recommend going to Raider V4 Mechanics on screen right here, because it has a free build section where you can slow down your movement speed. And once you slow down your movement speed, you can practice maybe side jumps. For example, let's say I suck at side jumps. I can practice these over and over on a lower movement speed. And once I'm comfortable enough, I can go back to normal speed. And what you're going to notice is that when you practice these moves, it's going to be a lot easier to actually consistently hit them. So make sure if you're struggling with hitting build moves or any type of retakes, you do this. Now that is going to wrap up this video, so if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, go follow my TikTok, go follow my Twitch, and if you want to see my full fighting guide, go check this video out. But with that, I'm out. Peace.